And call to order the business meeting of Tuesday, February 11th, 2020 of the Board of County Commissioners. Would you all please stand and join us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Mr. Ingles, do we have certification of our agenda?
We do, Mr. Chair. My office has reviewed all items on today's agenda, and they all meet legal approval. It is my understanding that item 3P, as in Paul, will be continued to a later time.
Thank you, sir. We have a full commissioner board. Excuse me. Do any commissioners have any disclosures for any item on any agenda item?
I have none, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
And I have none, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
And I have none. And our first order is we'd like to be able to recognize some employees for their service to the county. So I'm actually going to call Mr. Dan McKelkey, our Director of Human Services, to the lectern.
Microphone, sir. Good afternoon, Commissioners. It's my honor to celebrate Erin Johnson today. Erin Johnson has been with the Department of Human Services for just over 10 years, and she's a really unsung hero in human services. There is no other team or section that serves more people in the Department of Human Services than the groups that Erin oversees. She oversees the public assistance programs, which include Medicaid, food assistance, and all of the programs that people really in need come to us for. So it's often unsung. It's often dealing with people who are in really hardships and are not in the greatest headspace, or dealing with their moms and dads as they go into long-term care facilities. And her teams operate at some of the highest levels in the state. In fact, just recently, the state sent a team from the federal government to go and observe 2 different counties, and ours was one of them, based off of how well Erin's groups operate on the highest level. I routinely get compliments on Erin and Raven and Bree, who are back here to celebrate their boss too, just about how their processes and how nice they are and how much they are able to share with the entire state. I don't know what we would do in the Department of Human Services without what I call the great Erin Johnson. So I'm really happy that she stays with us. I'm really happy that she makes me a better director, and I hope we celebrate 10 more years.
Thank you for this recognition. I just want to say I've been working in human services for 20 years now, and it is an incredibly difficult job in every area of human services. And in Douglas County, we have some of the most amazing people that work in this area every day, working so hard to do good things for the community and for the residents. So I'm so grateful to get to work with such amazing people, and not just in our department, but across the county. I think we have just tremendous people here, and I'm so grateful to get to work with the people that I do.
Thank you, Erin. Commissioner comments.
Erin, I'd like to celebrate your 10 years here. I have the pleasure of going to the Works Allocation Committee. I think I'm one of 3 commissioners statewide who sit on that committee, and you are there every meeting helping me because it's a really complicated formula and there's a lot of moving parts, and you have all that information at the tip of your fingers, and you know exactly what the right answer is. You're confident, but you're quiet. And I want to thank you for, I call you my training wheel, so thank you.
Well, Erin, it's an honor for us to be able to express our gratitude to you today. Dan was talking about unsung heroes. Today we want to make sure that you are a sung hero. We realize how much work you have done, and I've really enjoyed our visits over at Human Services and getting to connect with you and the team over there, and it's just tremendous what you do, so thank you so much.
And I'll just say, Dan, thank you for recognizing Erin and saying a few words about her, because you really touched the point about how many she is in contact with. So you are really one of the faces of the county, and I can imagine those who are in sometimes dire straits, how much relief you can give them for the purposes that we serve. So you do a wonderful job. I really thank you for your great service and 10 more years after this at least.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Erin.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to call the lectern of Assessor Lisa Frizzell, another one of the faces of the county.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Lisa Frizzell, Douglas County Assessor. I'm here with Susan Patterson, who has the dubious distinction of serving as the administrative assistant to 3 Douglas County assessors. While some might say that because of that alone, Sue deserves sainthood, but we're just here to commemorate her 20 years of service to the citizens of Douglas County. Sue wears many, many hats in our office. She's budget manager, onboarding expert, training coordinator, and communications director. She diligently makes certain that we stay on top of individual fund balances and has ensured that we have been on or under budget every year for the past 20 years. Her work allows our managers to focus on strategy and operations other than paying bills. The first point of contact for new staff when they walk in the Douglas County Assessor's office is Sue, who presents a positive, professional attitude for all brand new employees. She walks new folks through the assessor's orientation, gets them introduced around the office, and makes sure that they have what they need to get started on day one. And as you know, all assessor staff go through a great deal of education, but this is especially true for our appraisers, who are required by law to be licensed. Sue has established great partnerships with the Division of Property Taxation and has been really successful in getting qualifying and continuing education courses actually scheduled in Douglas County. This means that our staff travel is kept to a minimum, and it saves a lot of money for Douglas County citizens. Sue has authored our staff newsletter, which is called In the Loop, since its inception, and she writes articles about new staff, our community, resources, trends, and she's now working to implement a staff blog on our SharePoint site. So all in all, we are really, really fortunate to have Sue as our glue in the assessor's office, wearing all these hats and many more that keep our assessor's staff effective, efficient, and very service-centric. So thank you, Commissioners, for allowing us to show up today.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you, Assessor. Sue.
Oh, my goodness. Oh. Hi, it was so nice to be here. I'm very excited to have this opportunity. I did write a few things down because I thought I would forget. So I wanted to thank Lisa for those kind words and her guidance and leadership over the years and her friendship. I'm happy to have the opportunity these past 20 years to work with all the terrific people in the assessor's office and to be part of the Douglas County community. The years have really flown by, and that's because I've enjoyed very much the work I do and the people I work with and the customers I serve. Being a Douglas County employee has afforded me so much, both personally and professionally. I truly appreciate all I've learned, and I'm still learning every day, the people who have supported me, and the great friendships I've made. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sue. Commissioner comments?
Well, Susan, this is just a lot of fun. 20 years is just remarkable, and I love that comment from Assessor Frizzell. Thank you so much for your kind words that Sue is the glue. And what I heard is that you are invested in what you do every day. It sounds like you're one of the many vice presidents of First Impressions that we have in the county, and you've done a phenomenal job, and we just appreciate you so much.
So the fact that you came here with your words written down gives me an indication of how you are always prepared and ready to support your staff. I've had the opportunity to work in lots of different places, and I've always noticed that it is the administrative assistant who makes sure that everything runs smoothly and makes your boss look good. And you've made many people look good, so congratulations on your success.
Sue, you can't underscore the importance of you as a person, first of all. You can just tell by your cheery personality and your ever-growing smile. But I think the other thing is the continuity of operations that you brought to the county and to the public. That matters a lot. As we know, elected officials come and go, but you have been a mainstay, and I like that word glue too. So Sue, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And again, of course, like everybody, another 20 years in. We look forward to that.
Please.
Thank you, everyone, for allowing us to recognize the important part, the employees, no doubt. Our next order of business, item number 1 is citizen organization comments. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the board regarding any item that is either not on our consent or our regular agenda item? Please feel free to come forward. See no one, I'll move to item number 3 is our consent agenda. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the board on any item on our consent agenda A through O? Seeing no one, I'll bring it back to the board for any discussion on any item A through O and or a motion.
Mr. Chair, if I could just make a comment, please.
Yes.
On item J, we are appointing 2 people to our Planning Commission. One of them is Nicole Hunt. And Nicole was hoping to be here today, but she texted me. She has 4 kids. And she said, home with 2 sick kiddos today with fevers, but I'm watching the meeting online. So, hey, Nicole, thanks you for offering to do this Planning Commission gig for us.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas.
And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the requests in all items A through O of the consent agenda with the notion that item P is to be continued to February 25th, 2020 at 1:30 p.m.
Second.
We have a first and a second. No further discussion. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. Moves us on to item number 4, our regular agenda. And our first item is always a great thing we can be appreciative of. You've heard us through the many months, but this is a continuing dedication of the $10 million that we put towards school safety and mental health. Presenting for staff, Tina Dale, for the funding agreement in an amount of $177,826 between Douglas County and North Star Academy.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Tina Dale, representing Community Development. The request before you today is to approve a school safety and protection and mental health services funding agreement between Douglas County and North Star Academy. On May 13th, 2019, the Board of County Commissioners authorized $10 million to improve the physical safety and provide mental health services for Douglas County school children, teachers, and staff. Funding priorities were established, a competitive grant process was developed, and the applications submitted were evaluated. The Board of County Commissioners awarded $177,826 through this proposed funding agreement to North Star Academy. Staff recommends that the Board of County Commissioners approve this funding agreement between Douglas County and North Star Academy as it complies with all county approval standards and procedural guidelines. That concludes my presentation, and staff is here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, T.D. Any questions for staff at this time?
I have none, thank you.
And I have none, thanks.
And I have none. And Tina, do you know if there's a representative of the North Star Academy present?
Yes, we have Kendra Hosfield from North Star that's here that would like to speak to you today.
Very well. Did I get that? I didn't catch the last name. I'm going to say Miss Kendra. And if you would state your name, spelling of your last name, and an address for the record, please.
Sure. My name is Kendra Hosfeld, H-O-S as in Sam, S as in Sam, F as in Frank, E-L-D.
And an address?
I'm sorry?
And an address? You can use the school if you
sure,
choose.
16700 Keystone Boulevard, Parker, 80134.
Thank you.
I want to thank you. First of all, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am a Colorado native. I am a Douglas County resident. I have 2 sons who attend Douglas County high schools here. And I am the co-founder and principal at North Star Academy, a pre-K through 8 charter school here in Douglas County. I want to let you know how much this means to our school. But first, I want to thank you for valuing children and protecting them and helping with safety enhancements. There's nothing, in my mind, there's no greater commodity than a child. And to provide them with the mental health and the safety security measures means so much to me. I talk a lot about our mission statement at North Star Academy, and the last sentence that is in our statement says that we will be providing a safe, nurturing and orderly environment. And this grant has really helped us deliver this part of that mission statement with fidelity. When I started writing this application, I thought, wow, wouldn't it be great to have a better entryway where our vestibule was protected in more than one way. I felt like there were some things that we could add to our entryway, and so I thought, well, I'll just write a grant to see if it's a possibility. And sure enough, you guys listened, and we are in the midst of working with 2 architects right now to make sure that happens. The other thing that I feel like is very important is the mental health of our students. We talk a lot about having a healthy mindset, and as you know, that starts from a very young age, and those are patterns that we can help students develop, but it takes really specific training to help develop those patterns. And so with this grant, we're able to ask for additional mental health training for our students, staff, and our parents. We developed an NSA village. It basically consists of a trainer and then all of our parents who want to attend. This next one is on screen time and mental health. We just finished one on growth mindset. We've done them on anxiety, and I feel like it's making an impact in our community. We're all in this together. We can't do it alone. And so, again, I want to thank you for helping us with the resources. We couldn't do it without you, and I'm very grateful. And I know that I speak for many principals in Douglas County. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hosfeld. Is there anyone who would like to address the board regarding this presentation? Seeing no one, Commissioner comments.
So thank you, Mr. Chair. This is directed really to Ms. Hosfeld, and certainly a huge thanks to staff, to Tina Dill, Jen Eby, and all the staff that has worked so hard on this. Our thanks is really to you for your foresight and your leadership. It is a partnership. And it couldn't be done without amazing people in the community that have the forethought to actually propose a grant and handle this on the ground. So our hope is that you'll invite us when things are done. We'll come by and visit you, but we're just so excited to see this, one of many solutions, continue to wrap around students in this community. You know, I ran for this office to do good things and to bring light into this community. And every day I realize it's really not about me. It's about people like you that bring the light and the goodness. So thank you.
Yes, I'd like to thank you, ma'am, for coming forward and letting us know your plans for this money. We all care about our kids, and you can tell I get emotional about our kids because they're our future. And I appreciate you coming together to start a charter school and founding one because you saw a need, and you weren't someone who just sat around and complained. You did something. So we'd like to thank you, and we certainly are going to look forward to that invitation when you have everything done because we want to see how you're helping kids. So thank you.
Ms. Hosfeld, really also want to reiterate fellow commissioners' comments because it's your words that really resonate to us and to our staff and to our 2 committees that work so hard to really address this issue. But it really is heartwarming for you to come and for us to hear. So we thank you so much, and thank you for teaching and taking care of our children. Many thanks. With that, I will bring it back to the board for any further discussion and or motion.
Mr. Chair, I have a motion to approve a funding agreement in the amount of $177,826 between Douglas County and North Star Academy for school safety and protection and mental health services.
Second.
We have a first and a second. No further discussion. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. Congratulations and thank you. Brings us on to our next item, B, Payment in lieu of taxes, federal funding provided to fire protection districts assisting in coverage of the Pike National Forest lands in Douglas County. Presenting for staff, Mike Alexander.
Afternoon, Commissioners. Thanks for having us. Payment in lieu of taxes. Beginning in 2002 and every year thereafter, Douglas County has provided supplemental funding for the 5 fire districts that respond to incidents in the Pike National Forest area of Douglas County. The districts are, and they're represented behind me by their chiefs, are Jackson 105 Fire, Larkspur Fire, Mountain Communities, North Fork, and West Douglas Fire. About 1/3 of Douglas County is land managed by the Pike National Forest. They have very few firefighting assets available to them just by the very nature of how much land they service. There are no Forest Service fire stations in Douglas County. They respond from El Paso County and Jefferson County. We rely on the fire districts behind me significantly for support in suppressing those wildfires when they happen and responding to medical aid, search and rescues, and motor vehicle accidents and all kinds of other activities that happen that require fire department response in the Pike National Forest that the Forest Service can't respond to or is unable to respond to. So we're very grateful and thankful for their help, and we're thankful for you all in helping provide this federal funding down to the fire districts in support of their mission. For this year, the county approved $100,000 to be distributed amongst these fire departments, and they responded a total of 131 times into the Pike National Forest for those variety of different calls. What I'd like to do is call up each fire department individually, and I'll call out the number of times they responded and the disbursement for them, and then give them an opportunity to address you all, if that's all right. First up, Jackson 105 Fire responded 22 times into the forest, and we're distributing $16,795.
Commissioners, I'm Jared Lamb, Fire Chief, Jackson 105 Fire Protection District. Thank you again for continually funding this. It definitely helps these smaller departments out. This year we are changed our focus a little bit, some different areas. So with this money, we're going to purchase a step mill for fitness, physical fitness. Some progressive packs, which are hose packs that we can wear on our backs and walk up hills to lay hose down quickly. And then some new radios so we can communicate with the surrounding agencies and the federal agencies. So again, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And I'm going to just ask you to state record. Any questions for the chief?
Can you give us some idea about the kind of calls you've responded to?
Oh, we had a variety. We get motor vehicle accidents, ATV accidents, hiking injuries, hiking up Devil's Head. We actually had a lightning strike at a climbing tower up there that took out 8 people. Luckily, no real serious injuries on that one, but it definitely overwhelmed our system, having 8 patients right at once. Not a ton of fires this last year, which was good. We like that, so it's a very wide variety.
Thank you, sir.
Next up, we have Larkspur Fire Department, 9 calls into the Pike National Forest and distributing $6,876.
Commissioners, Randy Johnson, Larkspur Fire. Pleasure to be here today, and thank you so much for this check. We are happy as a fire department to respond to anyone, anywhere in need. And, you know, sometimes we get to go up in the forest and work those calls. We assist with Jackson 105 occasionally with search and rescue. We also do fires that are right across our border in the Pike as initial response and work with the Pike on them on that fire later. So much appreciated. Thank you.
Chief Johnson, I'm going to ask if the commissioners have any questions.
Well, you talked about what you do up in the forest, but I bet that you're really busy on I-25 as well. And I know these checks don't cover I-25, but I'd like to thank you for what your department does out there on the interstate.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a challenge lately. And yeah, this money is going to go to wildland stuff. We're going to be buying new hose, nozzles, fittings, Ys, that kind of stuff. A lot of our stuff has seen a few years of wear, and it's time to upgrade a little bit. But the challenges we face, we approach every day with a smile on our face. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Next up, Mountain Communities. They service the very extreme southwest corner of our county. And they had a tremendous call load this year, 38 calls into the force, 100% volunteer fire department. And we're distributing $29,000 to them today in support of their efforts. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Steve Brown. I'm Fire Chief, Mountain Communities Fire. Want to thank you again for allowing us to get some extra funds. We're probably the poorest department on the Front Range. Get about 70 grand a year in taxes, maybe a little bit more between Douglas and Teller County. We service both counties. We service over 100 plus square miles with all volunteers. Right now we have 27 volunteers as of today. These calls, you asked for a breakdown. Most of them were small brush fires, but we also get ATV accidents, recreational accidents up in the Rainbow Falls area, Rampart Range. We go all the way from Rampart Range to Park County line. So it's a big territory, and it's a lot of tough access areas where we need ATVs, et cetera. The money, some of the money we're going to use this year is for just basic personal protection gear for the firefighters, both wildland fire gear and bunker gear for the newer members. That gear expires after a certain point, so we have to constantly replace it. Also, we got some money for medical gear for our ATV rescues, and we're also going to buy a couple new air packs for our structure fires. Again, we appreciate the funds. They're very important to us with a small department. We couldn't buy extra gear without them. I mean, it's that simple. So, any questions?
So, Chief, I have one question. You said you have 27 volunteers, and so you cover a very remote part of the county.
That's right.
People are having a hard time getting people to volunteer and help. Do all of your volunteers come from within your district?
The majority of them do, but we opened it up to out-of-district volunteers for weekends when we're busiest. And we have attracted talent from Woodland Park area because they don't accept volunteers anymore, and they're about 12 miles down the road. So that's, and we also do mutual aid with their departments. So that's how we get some extra volunteers, if you will. Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty amazing solution to that, so I appreciate that information. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you, Chief Farrell.
Thanks a lot.
And next up, we have another very active fire department and largely volunteer-based, North Fork Fire. 28 calls into the forest and distributing $21,373. Chief Rogers.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Kurt Rogers. I'm the chief at North Fork Fire. We're kind of on the edge of Jefferson County and into Douglas County. So our district size is about 240 square miles, about 100 of that being in Douglas County. We run a full gamut of different kinds of calls, as the other chief stated, rescues. There's extensive trail systems up there. We have injured hikers, several campgrounds in the area. So when people come camping, you know, they still have medical emergencies and whatnot when they're on their trips out to the mountains. So that's the kind of stuff that we see up there. I just want to thank you again for your funding. It really does help these rural fire departments that are struggling with funding. This is a major contribution to our budget. And this year we're planning on building a new brush truck, so these funds will help us with that project that we're going to do this year. Do you guys have any questions I could answer?
Chief always have to come up with something can let you off the hook. So can you tell us on a personal story where you have seen these funds used to really be an impact to the public?
Yeah, we have done a lot of different projects with these funds over the years. Last set of funding that we got from you guys, we put it towards an ambulance that we were buying. So, you know, we're able to make some of these capital projects get off the ground that we really probably wouldn't be able to do without this kind of funding. You know, we've also done we bought some ATV kind of vehicles in the past before and rescued people, like I say, off the trail system. That just give you an example. Some of these calls before, without that ATV, it's kind of a two-wheel drive motorcycle that we're using on the trail system. It would have taken me 12 to 15 personnel to evacuate somebody off the trail. As the chiefs had mentioned, we're really limited on personnel with our volunteer staff. So with that vehicle, now we're able to accomplish that with 2 to 3 people on a trail rescue, just to give you an example of how that's worked. So.
Thank you, Chief Rogers.
Thank you.
I'll just anecdotal story. Last winter, we had a fire in the forest, and Chief Rogers and his guys helped the Forest Service get to their fire across the South Platte River using swift water gear in order to get to the fire. So that was a new one. Seeing guys get to a fire with like wetsuits on. Next up is West Douglas Fire. Very, very busy fire department. Serves your district, Commissioner, and 34 calls into the forest this year, and $25,951 being distributed to them. Chief Thompson.
Commissioners, Terry Thompson, Fire Chief, West Douglas, located in Sedalia. Again, as everybody has said, we really appreciate this money. It goes a long ways in helping our operations. I'm one of the districts that has Highway 67 go through our district, so I get a lot of MVAs on Highway 67 itself. I meet Jackson 105, 4 miles out Rampart, so we have a lot of ATV rescues. Unfortunately, we have the drunks and the druggies that we got to deal with. But in the past, you have bought me with the PILT money, ATVs, trailers, medical trailers, hose, hand tools, chainsaws. Well, I think this is the 4th year, but I've started a different project. We need water up in the mountains, quick available water. So I have been saving my PILT money in a separate fund managed by my treasurer of the board. And I want to put from 30 to 60,000 gallons of water up towards Rampart. So it will be a quick access point for needed water in an emergency. It can be used for dip sites, it can be used to fill trucks, for structure and wildland. So again, this will be added to the pot, and thank you. Questions?
Thank you, Chief.
So Chief, I know that you've been working on this project. Do you know how much you have in the bank and how much more do you need?
You know, I tried to get a hold of the treasurer today before I come because I thought this might be a question. This is probably going to put me just a little bit south of 100,000.
And what do you need to get your project
I
done?
need about 150. So we're getting close with your continued support. And if I can pry on my board a little bit harder, it'll become reality.
So are you going to put a tank, or what exactly are you going to do?
We wanted one tank, at least for 30,000 gallons, that would be recognized as an ISO water source, so insurance rates would go down. But if we're going to dig 30, why not dig a hole for 60? Because it's not going to cost a whole lot more to have a second tank in. Yes, they would be stored in tanks, supplied through a line to a hydrant down beside the road. So quick fill and access.
Shows a lot of foresight on your part for your community, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Commissioners.
Thank you, Chief Thompson. And I'm first going to ask for anyone in the audience that'd like to address the board regarding this, and then I would ask if the fire chiefs would be so kind to come up front so we can get a picture with you. I'll first open it up for anyone in the audience who would like to address the board regarding this presentation. Seeing no one, I'm bringing it back to commissioners for comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To all the chiefs, wow. You know, we were talking about heroes earlier today, and you're more than heroes. You're the guardians of our way of life in Douglas County. You know, we're the healthiest county in the country and the wealthiest outside of Washington, D.C., and we know that there are a lot of very big homes near and close to where you guys are protecting forest. And it's just tremendous what you do. And our thanks to Tim and Mike and emergency management and all you do to keep us safe. It's an honor to present you with these checks today.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I'd like to just make a few comments regarding the PILT money, because it is the citizens' tax dollars that we have the ability to use. And we address this every year with our federal legislatures, and sometimes it seems to be it's a given that the Congress will approve these funds, but we always have to make sure, because it's only about a third to half of the country that really has PILT. So a lot of the eastern states do not understand it. So we go back and fight for that every year. And I really want to commend our staff for being able to put this together, the formula, but really it is to thank the public and to thank the fire chiefs, the personnel, and the paid personnel for all the efforts, everything you do to keep our community safer and to be able to handle emergency situations. So we appreciate it. Thank you very much. And so I'll actually look for a motion and then we'll look for a picture.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve payment in lieu of taxes federal funding provided to fire protection districts assisting in coverage of the Pike National Forest lands in Douglas County.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. Thank you. So you can come down and get a picture. Great. Our next item on agenda, item C, is a resolution restating an intergovernmental agreement for reciprocal ambulance licensing and inspection program by and among the Colorado counties of Adams, Arapahoe, Boulder, Douglas, Elbert, Jefferson, and the city and county of Broomfield. Presenting for staff. And
thank you, Commissioner Ann Walton, for emergency management. Thank you very much. I'm here to present to you the restated multi-county reciprocal ambulance licensing and inspection program intergovernmental agreement for your consideration. As you all know, our multi-county collaboration enhances safety, quality, and consistency within the ambulance fleet in 7 counties. Those counties include, obviously, Adams, Arapahoe, Boulder, Douglas, Elbert, Jefferson, and the city and county of Broomfield, but we're looking to add Clear Creek and Gilpin counties shortly. We're excited about that. And obviously the need for the restated IGA is a result of the changes that were implemented in the governance rules that occurred in 2019 from the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. So if you have any questions, I'm delighted to answer them.
great. Questions for Ann?
And as you read off the counties, it sounded like to me it was pretty close to those counties in the North Central Response Region. Is that correct? I like it when established groups of people continue to work together. There's a lot of synergy that way, and those partnerships are what help make Douglas County so successful. So thank you for including all those counties.
And I really appreciated your presentation with the team, and it really highlighted your leadership as a regional thought leader on this particular issue. So again, the collaboration is pretty remarkable. Congratulations.
Very well. And thank you very much. Appreciate it. Is there anyone in the audience like to address the board regarding item C on our agenda? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for any further discussion, comments, and or action.
Mr. Chair, I have a motion to approve a resolution restating an intergovernmental agreement for reciprocal ambulance licensing and inspection program by and among the Colorado counties of Adams, Arapahoe, Boulder, Douglas, Elbert, Jefferson, and the city and county of Broomfield.
Second.
We have a first and a second. No further discussion. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Tim. Our next item D is Reuter Hess Recreational Authority 2020 Capital Assessment in amount of $250,000. Presenting for staff, Randy Burkhart.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Randy Burkhart, representing Park staff. Also with us today is Ron Redd, the Executive Director of the Parker Water and Sanitation District, and he's available to answer any questions, and he'll make a few comments at the end of the presentation. The request before you today is for the approval of the 2020 Reuter Hess Recreation Authority Capital Development Assessment of $250,000. This assessment was included as a portion of the Parks, Trails, and Building Grounds 2020 capital budget request and was approved by the Board of County Commissioners as a portion of the 2020 Douglas County adopted budget. These funds are located in Fund 255, the Park Sales and Use Tax, of the 2020 Parks, Trails, and Building Grounds approved budget. A little background on the project. In 2016, Parks, Trails, and Building Grounds Division started to include $250,000 for the Reuter Hess Park development yearly in its 10-year capital development budget plan, or $2.5 million over a 10-year period. The $250,000 per year is consistent with financial contributions that Douglas County has made to other regional parks projects in the past, such as Redstone Park in Highlands Ranch, $750,000 over 3 years, and Salisbury Park in Parker, $750,000 over 3 years. As there was no capital development in 2017, in the 2017 budget cycle, Douglas County contributed $50,000 towards the completion of the Parks Development Master Plan. With the intent of financially catching up in future years, and those catch-up years were 2019 and 2018. $400,000 was assessed in 2018, and $300,000 was assessed in 2019 to catch the county up to its anticipated funding levels. The $250,000 being requested in 2000, with $250,000 being requested in 2020. A little background on the Reuter Hess Recreation Authority. In 2013, Douglas County began participating in the discussions on a regional development of the Reuter Hess Reservoir for recreational opportunities. In 2015, 6 parties, Parker Water and Sanitation District, Douglas County, the Town of Parker, the Town of Castle Rock, the City of Lone Tree, and the City of Castle Pines signed an IGA to form the Reuter Hess Recreation Authority. The charge of the Reuter Hess Recreation Authority is to establish policies and procedures by which Reuter Hess Reservoir property is funded, developed, and maintained for public recreational purposes. Yearly, the members of the Reuter Hess Recreation Authority financially assess themselves for general, administrative, and capital development costs. As there was no plan for capital in 2016, as we've stated, Douglas County contributed $50,000 for the completion of the master plan. And the other funds since then. The Reuter Hess Reservoir is located in the north central portion of Douglas County and bordered by Parker on the north and east, Castle Rock on the south, and Castle Pines to the west. Lone Tree is located just to the north and west of the site. The Reuter Hess Park development area includes areas around the reservoir as well as approximately 425 acres on the north side of Hess Road, so just across the street, Hess Road from the reservoir north, and that's bordered by the East-West Regional Trail that will be continuing and have access from that. The Phase 3 development area will be located on both the north and south sides of the Hess Road. The Phase 3 developments. Phase 3 developments will include incline steps, parking lots, trails on the north side of Hess Road, where users will be able to access this area at all times the park is open at no fee to the public. 2 miles of trails, shade structures, and improved water access and a dock from which to launch boats and stand-up paddle boards will be located on the east side or the Reuter Hess Reservoir area. This area will be open during supervised activities and will include an entrance fee. Some of the programs that are being made available to the at Rooter Hess Reservoir in 2020, National Trails Day, which will include paddleboard, canoe, and kayak adventures. The Avid 4 Adventure Camp, this will be the third year that a youth camp is out there in the summer. Personal paddleboard days, personal paddleboard and kayak days, watercolor painting classes. Luke Thornton for the county runs guided tours out there, and there will also be some open water swims. The staff assessment. Parks, Trails, and Building Grounds staff supports the approval of the 2020 Rooter Hess Recreation Authority assessment of $250,000. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions that you might have, and Mr. Red is here to make a couple comments and answer any questions you might have of him.
Any questions for staff at this time?
I have none, thank you.
I'll reserve my comments to the end of Mr. Red's presentation.
Okay, Mr. Ron Red.
Great, thank you. I'm Ron Red, District Manager, Parker Water. Thanks for the opportunity. It's a new experience for me, getting text from my one fan in the world because they can see me on TV. So that's kind of a cool thing. So a shout out to that one person. So anyway, so it was a good year. 2019 was a good year for Rooter Hess Recreation. We had well over 2,000 people. And considering that we're not open to the public, that's pretty impressive. It's all event-oriented. I always refer to it more like when you want to go golfing, you have to make a tee time. Well, this is similar. When you want to go paddleboarding, we have events where people can come there and do paddleboarding. And it's just been a very popular thing. A lot of the communities on the board, such as yourself, are getting comments from the citizens, like we'd like to get out there more. And I think last year, the authority responded well. And so again, over 2,000 people attended out there. So coming up in 2020 is an exciting time for us. We will be bidding a package here, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, to build the facilities that Randy talked about. And it's probably going to be around $1 million. I was told not to give an exact number because we haven't bid it yet. But it gives you an idea of the significance of the trails and the incline. The one thing I would add to Randy's presentation is we have an incline. It's kind of like Castle Rock, kind of the same length, same height, but ours will be cooler because when we were laying it out, there was a Native American village found in the middle of it. And so instead of excavating all out, we went around it. So you have an incline with a nice trail around it and then back to an incline. And we'll have some real nice signage out there so people will get a sense of the history of that area. So I'll conclude real quickly. The partnership is a special thing, and I'm finding out how more special that is to us here. I think in Douglas County, we see a lot of partnerships. And I've been working with some water districts north of Denver on more of a long-term water type projects. And again, partnerships are good. And but up there, I'm finding there's more siloed organizations. So I'm talking about WISE, how that's been a great partnership. And I talk about the Ridgegate pipeline. We work together and, sharing space in Rooter Hess. And you can just tell they're just, it's like, yeah, right. And finally I said, well, get this. We've opened up our reservoir. We have 4 cities in a county working together to do recreation. And they're like, what? Well, then they start listening. It's just a new concept for a lot of people. But this rec authority is doing very well. And I think it'll be exciting. The construction should be done by June. And we should have some pretty nice facilities for people to come out and see. One thing they'll be working on at the end of this year, October, they've identified, is it's time to transition Parker Water out of the role of being the manager, and the authority needs to start looking at hiring their own manager and staff. Once that happens, that's the next step to being more open to the public like a typical reservoir or a recreation site. So with that, I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Red.
This is a comment. I've always been impressed with your leadership and your knowledge. I've come to you with questions about several things, and you've never made me feel silly. You've answered them in a way that helped me better understand what my question is. I've also been invited to some of your annual picnics, and I just want to let everybody know that there is such a sense of camaraderie with all of your employees, and I think that starts at the top. And I think one of the reasons this project has been successful is because of your leadership. So I'd like to thank you, Ron.
You know, Ron and Randy, this is really exciting for me. You know, as a native, I always try to keep in mind the value and never underestimate the level of recreational amenities that our community really appreciates. And I remember serving on the Planning Commission when I had the opportunity to reflect a little bit upon some of the recreational opportunities and really marvel at both of your incredible leadership with regard to what's happening here. And I would echo that sentiment when you get out there and talk to folks. When you raise the recreational opportunities, boy, that really resonates. And so thank you for leading on that. It's a big deal to our community. Yeah.
Great, Rod. I want to recognize, the foresight, and it might have been Frank, I guess, who had the foresight to create a recreational district for Rudder-Hess. And what a grand idea, because we see many other parts of the country, a body of water as a playland, and we take it a little more serious here. But being able to manage it well and control what type of activities is very sensible, but at least those activities are offered, so really appreciate that. And Mr. Red, where are you at on the level of the reservoir right now?
We are at just a little over 23,000 acre feet, and the depth is around 100 feet. So it's actually come down over the last few years. I don't know if you recall, we had that large 100-year storm that hit Loveland a few years ago. And what that did, I mean, it was a lot of problems for that area with flooding, but it filled up all the farmers downstream on the South Platte, and it opened the river up. It became free river, meaning anyone can access it. And we pumped for almost 2 years, and we got almost to 30,000 acre feet. It has been fairly dry since. We went 18 months without pumping any water in there. But the good news is, last year we utilized it to meet our customers' demand, and we usually produce around 8,000 acre feet a year for Parker and our other customers, and the reservoir only went down about 2,000 acre feet. So again, we're able to take our return flows and put them back there and capture when we do have free river. So going through a dry period like that, only using 2,000 acre feet is a really good sign. So this year's starting off great. Snow's kind of a pain, but we'll take it anytime. So we're about 23,000 acre feet, which is about a 3.5-year supply for Parker.
Thank you. I don't think the other two commissioners know that I was going to talk to you about doing a commissioner challenge to see who could touch the bottom of the reservoir. But I want to let them know I already have a hand up because I was there when we actually put the challenge going now at the bottom. So I'm going to challenge the other two, see if they can touch the bottom now.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr.
That's actually under about 20 feet of water now. So
yeah.
Give you an idea.
So that's not far very far they have to go. Right. Thank you.
You bet.
Is there anyone in the audience like to address the board regarding item D on our agenda? Seeing no one, I'll bring it back to the board for any further discussion, comments, and/or action.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve Rudder-Hess Recreation Authority 2020 capital assessment in the amount of $250,000.
Second.
We have a first, second. No further discussion. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the motion passes. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
And County Manager to board, any further business? County Manager report was included. Commissioner comments?
There were several things in the county manager report that I printed off to decide what I wanted to talk about. And I've decided to just talk about the Strive to Thrive event that was held on January 28th here in Castle Rock through the Community of Care Network. There were over 26 agencies there who had services and diapers and food and clothing. And I was there for about an hour. There were 177 residents who came to get services and help so that they could get a hand up. And, people think this is Douglas County. We don't have needs, but we absolutely do. And these people were there. But what really impressed me were all the little girls who were so clean with bows in their hair. So it was really a fun event, and I'd like to thank all of the partners who came together to serve our vulnerable population.
Thank you, Commissioner.
You know, I just have one comment, and we often have an opportunity to extend our appreciation to leaders and members of our community that collaborate in an important way. And I see two of our esteemed journalists in the back from Colorado Community Media, and I think one of the themes today has been unsung heroes. And sometimes it's not easy, but we really value the free press and the ability of our journalists to report objectively and fairly and bring truth to power. So we appreciate you and always welcome you being here.
Great. Commissioner's going to make it a trifecta. I'm going to comment also. In a county manager report was recognition to Public Works and Engineering for the work with FEMA to get the rating on the flood insurance down from a 7 to a 5. And the important thing I want to point out is how important it is to the staff to be able to recognize that that's a savings to those who live within that flood plain and have to have that flood insurance. And it makes a difference about 25% reduction in their premium. So I really want to thank staff for bringing that forward, and we get the opportunity to do this every 3 years. Obviously, if you live near Rooter Hess Reservoir, you still might be in that flood area, but it's not going to flood. You're just going to have the opportunity to recreate there. Thank you, everyone. That concludes our hearing. We are adjourned.